Hello gang, hope you're all well. Sorry I've been away for a little bit. I am back in London now and I started back at school, which I am super happy about, and I'm not being sarcastic. My other excuse is that it took me a month to do my eyeshadow like this. It doesn't look like it though. We're gonna talk about movies. Movies came out in 2016. I liked a lot of the movies that came out in 2016, and I wanted to share with you my top 10 movies of 2016. I've gotten asked a lot to do a video about like my top 5 or 10 favorite movies ever, and although I'd love to do that eventually, I like too many different movies for a lot of different reasons. Like, if I were to be completely honest, like Scooby-Doo 2 would be on there somewhere, National Treasure 2. There's a lot of movies that I just have like a fun time watching that aren't actually like good movies. But then I have my artsy-fartsy stuff too, just like everyone else. So I thought to sort of try and narrow down the pool a little bit, I'd share with you what my favorite movies were from last year. And these will be in ascending order from my least favorite of my favorites to my most favorite of my favorites, naturally. Would that be ascending or descending? Because it's like descending from 10 to 1, but it's ascending from... You know what, I'm just gonna start. Starting us off at number 10 is Captain Fantastic. I watched this on a plane, as I do with most movies these days. Should I say films? I keep saying movies. We're gonna call them movies. I thought it was really visually interesting. I thought it was really thematically interesting. It deals with a lot of different things, but they all sort of come together really well. But essentially, it was about this man raising his kids in a not super traditional environment. The plot is pretty like somber, but I don't think it's not a sad movie at all. It's ultimately really uplifting, I think. But yeah, it was a fun little watch. Number 9 is Hidden Figures, and I really did genuinely enjoy this, so don't let the fact that it's at number 9 deter you. This was about 3 black women who were working at NASA in the 60s, who were really sort of trailblazing and did all sorts of wonderful things. It was really good. Sometimes when I watch biopics, they feel a bit too biopic-y, which is a criticism that makes absolutely no sense and means nothing. But the 3 women at the heart of this are really incredible, and it's such a cool story. Although upon reading a bit more about it, the story was a bit Hollywoodized, as you know, these things tend to be. But still really good. I really liked it. I think it can be assumed that I really liked all of these, so I guess I don't have to say it for everyone, but I'm probably going to anyways. Number 8 is Hunt for the Wilderpeople. This was directed, I believe, by the same guy who directed What We Do in the Shadows, which I love. It's such a heartwarming little tale about this boy and his uncle who like have a romp about in a forest, and it's very funny. Number 7 is Kubo and the Two Strings. I went to a screening of this, which was followed by a Q&A with the director, whose name is escaping me, but that Q&A alone was like, he was such a well-spoken, charismatic man who you could tell just genuinely loves what he does and loves telling stories. Kubo is amazing. It's all stop motion, but it's just so like intensely beautiful, and I love stop motion because I think visually it's so fun to watch, but as you're watching it, you're also like, oh my god, this must have taken so long. In the film, I don't know if this is a spoiler, there's a really big like skeleton, and there was a sort of time-lapse video of them animating that really big skeleton, and it's just like huge, like a guy has to stand on a ladder in position, and they had like robots to like position it the right way, and it's just so crazy. It's such an interesting sort of mix of like artistry and craftsmanship, but also like science, and I don't know, it's just very cool. The story is just, I am a movie crier, so take this with a grain of salt, but I was sobbing, I was doing the thing when you're like crying but you're trying not to cry. Number 6 is Arrival. I was lucky enough to see this in the observatory in Greenwich, and it was so cool because we were in the room where normally I guess they take groups of people in, and you go and you sit in these chairs that kind of lean back, and you see this, you're just looking up at this big dome screen. So before we actually saw the movie, this guy took us through and we got to see that little show where they bring up all the stars, and then they're like, this is what would happen if you saw all the galaxies ever, and it's very cool. Like, that alone, I could have gone there and done that and been like, okay, I'm ready to go. But that preceding the movie was just a lot of fun. I love a good bit of sci-fi, potentially unrealistic sci-fi, combined with what is at its core a more personal, human, realistic story. Which is exactly what Arrival is. I just realized that I think I've been getting the numbers wrong this whole time. So I think we're left with... Oh, I'm such an idiot. I don't know what I just said Arrival was. I think I said it was 5. It's not 5. It was actually 6. 5. Good luck editing, Sav. I hope you have fun with this. Number 5 is La La Land. Okay, I was kind of surprised also where it ended up on this list. Because I loved La La Land. I thought it was really, really, really genuinely great. And you've probably heard like a billion things about La La Land by now, so I'm not going to go on about it too much. But yeah, it's just very good. Everything about it is just very good. I loved the tunes. I loved the cinematography. I loved the little dances. I loved the ending. Number 4 is Moonlight, and I was specifically waiting to make this video until I saw Moonlight because I knew it would be on the list somewhere. Moonlight is wonderful. I saw this again at a screening where there was a Q&A with the director afterwards, and it was really interesting. And again, the director of this was just such a nice dude. So cool to listen to. Yeah, it's just really beautiful, and again, sort of ultimately heartwarming. Number 3 is weird, and it's why all of the numbers on my list were messed up, because I just sort of added it in at the end. Because I saw it in 2015, but it technically is a 2016 film, so I'm like, you know what, I'll stick it in here. Number 3 is The Lobster. I love The Lobster. Not particularly heartwarming, but just really bleak. I don't mean to give a synopsis for every movie I talk about, because I imagine you guys know what a lot of these are about already. But The Lobster is basically, it exists in this world where everyone has to have like a partner, and if you don't, you have to go to this hotel where you have to find one or else you get turned into an animal. There's a couple lines that I still just think about some days and have a little chuckle to myself. Number 2 is Nocturnal Animals, another Amy Adams appearance. I went into this having no idea what it was about. I hadn't seen trailer for it, and you know, that's the way to do it most of the time. Nocturnal Animals was so good. There's a scene right at the beginning. See, I don't know what's a spoiler or not. Basically, there's a very tense scene at the beginning where a family is getting like kidnapped, and watching it was so intense. And at the end of it, I mean, I went with Bert, and at the end of it, I just put my hand on my hand was like dripping with sweat, which is disgusting. Amy Adams somehow did such a phenomenal job in this, but I mean, for a good 70% of it, she was mostly just like laying in bed, having a pensive look about, which was great. I thought it was great. Okay, finally, my number 1 movie of the year. Drumroll. Great. Swiss Army Man. This, interestingly enough, as I didn't go through and look at all of them, but I want to say out of all of the movies on my list, this one has the lowest score on Rotten Tomatoes, which obviously doesn't really say much, but people were really on the fence about Swiss Army Man. I was never on the fence about Swiss Army Man, which might be why I loved it so much, but I remember seeing the first trailer with Bert like a long, long time ago, and I was like, this is going to be my new favorite movie. Because the reason people said that they didn't like it, which I get, but a lot of like the criticky people didn't like it because it's like there's a lot of crass humor, let's say. But, like, I don't even think it's crass. There's fart jokes, but like they're metaphors. They're all metaphors. This made me bawl. Which is so weird. I guess it's not weird. It's just the way the story is told. It's about being a person, and it's about living in this world where people expect these things of you, and how a society like constructs itself and how you're expected to live within it. And it's not by any means like the best movie on this list, like not technically or objectively or whatever. It just for some reason resonated so much with me that it is being awarded the coveted #1 position on Sav's definitive best films of 2016 list. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. If there were any movies I didn't include that you liked. There were ones that I didn't see, like I didn't see Manchester by the Sea, which I heard was good. I didn't see... They're all not in my head right now, but there are a few other ones I didn't see. Did you hear that? Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.